YouTube, what's good with you guys? Gniady back here with another video, and I noticed you guys seem to like my receiver ranking a little bit. Got some good love from that video, so I appreciate all the new subs, everyone who liked that video, I appreciate it. So there isn't a tier list kind of thing that they had with running backs, but I got recommended to try to do a running back tier list because the receiver one went well, and I kind of liked how that worked. So they do have tier lists for everything and basically anything you could ever want to rank online, but they don't have the same type of quiz that we did. So I'm going to go through each of the running backs they have on this list. It includes rookies from this past year and go over all the different ones and rank each one of them based on how good I think they are and what tier they belong in. And there are some guys missing off the bat. I noticed Bucky Irving isn't here. So they do have like guys like Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks, but I think this was made before they knew Bucky Irving was good. They kind of went off the top guys taken in the last draft. So at the end, I'll kind of go over that. Actually, let's start now. Where do we think Bucky Irving would go? He won't be able to get moved around as I go on this, but I think end of A right now you could put Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving probably would go end of A right now. I think he was that good. He's a pretty good overall running back so far. He was only a rookie against a good behind a good offensive line and a good offensive mind, but still, I think he was a really good running back. So he'd probably be in A right now is where I put him. But starting off, Aaron Jones, I think, was as high as A, end of A at one point, but right now I think Aaron Jones is a C guy. I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so I'm gonna have to go somewhat quickly here. But Aaron Jones, I think, is a C guy. We'll kind of rearrange guys as the thing goes on. But my initial ranking for Jones is probably a C tier guy. Alvin Kamara. See, some of you guys might think it's criminal if I put him above Aaron Jones, but I have like Aaron Jones as a beginning to middle of C guy. I have Kamara as like an end of B guy right now. I think Kamara is still a B guy at this point in his career. He's still a good receiving threat out of the backfield. He is getting older, but I still think he plays really well. Bijan, I have probably 5 guys in S, and I think Bijan belongs in S. No questions asked there. Bijan is a dog, great player, insane elusiveness. Really good running back there. I think he's only going to get better. He'll be up there for Offensive Player of the Year for years to come, I'm sure. So he's one of the guys I have there. Blake Corum didn't play, so he's an E. Breece Hall, I think, is an end of A guy. He came off of a great year last year and went into, kind of a down year compared to the year before. That whole offense and whole team was just a disaster this year. So that's where I have Breece Hall. I'm going to have Bijan in D. Brian Robinson in D. So already off the top here, we have 5, each one filled up here. I could see the argument for C 100%. I think Brian, you could argue he leans more towards a C type running back, but I'm going to put him at D. And because of how last year went with CMC getting hurt, I think he's an A guy. I think at the beginning of the year, he was easily an S tier guy, but I think he's an A. I think he's at the top of A right now. We'll see how he looks going into next year. Some people might argue that he's below A tier, but I'm gonna have him in A. I got CMC at the A tier right now, above Breece Hall. DeAndre Swift, I got him in D, bro. I'm a Bears fan. Like, you can look at the shirt. Like, I'm a Bears fan. I got my Bears banner back here. I'm gonna say this in every video because you're gonna be ranking a Bears player at some point. But I got DeAndre Swift at D, dude. I don't think he's that great. He doesn't do well in going up the middle. He's okay in open space. I think his best attribute is his receiving ability, and I think he's been pretty decent there. If it was receiving ability alone, I'd probably put him in B. But you don't really look for receiving ability from a running back, right? That's not really a high bar you want to look for in a running back. So I have him at D because as a pure runner, he's pretty bad. David Montgomery is probably a top 2 or 3 backup running back in the NFL. So I would have him. I'll have him behind Kamara for now, but he's at least in B tier. I think it's pretty easy to say he's at least in B tier. Derek, dude, do I put him in S? Lamar, dude, he is still really good, even though he's 30 years old. He is still really good. I want to put him in S. I'm going to put him in S for now. I'm going to put Derek in S for now. We can move him. but I think Derek is still an S level guy. He is really good. A-Chain, I'm going to have him in C tier, right? As a pure runner, right? He's not the greatest pure running back, but I still think his receiving threat is really what makes him like a really good for fantasy. A lot of you fantasy guys, like I had A-Chain in 3 of my 4 leagues last year. Like, don't get it twisted. I love A-Chain as much as the next guy. But as a running back, when you think about it from an NFL football like perspective, A-Chain is probably a C. I'll put him above Aaron Jones. He's probably a high C, low B category of running backs is where I would put Devon A-Chain. Zeke and E pretty easily here. I'll put him above Blake Corum. He's just old right now, you know, he's not in his prime. You know, we're going off right now, right? You can't reminisce on the old Zeke because that's not what we're getting right now. We're getting an E level Zeke right now, is what I would say. Gus Edwards is a D level guy. I mean, I think that JT or J.K. Dobbins, sorry, was better than he was. That's another guy I don't see on this list, by the way, is J.K. Dobbins. I would have J.K. above Gus. I'd probably have him in C. But Gus Bus was good. I mean, any running back looks great on the Ravens is kind of what we're figuring out, right? These guys didn't look as good on the Chargers last year. Gus was still decent, but I think he's a D level guy. I think he might even be better than Brian Robinson, honestly. You could argue that, but I'd probably have him in D right now. Pacheco, last year was probably an A-level guy. Right now, I have him in B. I'd say he's a B-level guy. I think he can get back to where he was, playing with that Chiefs and Mahomes offense, of course. He was injured and coming off that injury that he had, so he had a B-level season. I'd say right now he's a B-level guy. Jahmyr Gibbs, pretty easily an S, I would say. I'd probably have him above Bijan and Derek right now. He's just that dynamic and elusive, and he just lost Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson. So we'll see how much that matters to Jahmyr. His speed is at the top speed. I don't think anyone rivals him as far as running backs go right now. His elusiveness, his acceleration, his agility. I think his high-end speed is all top of all running backs in the NFL right now. No question. I have James Conner like low level A, dude. This guy is a workhorse beast of a running back, plays really well behind, you know, not the greatest offense whatsoever by any means, and just produces, man. Just produces, goes out there, grinds, stays on the field, doesn't get hurt very often. Really good running back. I think James Conner, low level A guy, is very good spot for James Conner. You know, if anything, I'm probably rating him higher than most people would, but I think James Conner easily in the A tier. And again, James Cook, I think, is an A-level guy, and I don't think it's criminal to put him above Breece or James Conner right now. If anything, I could see people arguing to put James Conner over Breece, but I got James Cook in the A category right now, above Breece Hall, and probably just below CMC. Another good year out of James Cook, and another, you know, clearly end of CMC era year. We'll see James Cook go above CMC. But I think after this past year, you can't argue James Cook is an A-level running back. I don't think he's an S guy, but definitely an A-level running back for James Cook there. Javonte Williams, we'll put him bottom D. I can make the argument. As a Bears fan, I'll put DeAndre Swift behind basically everybody. I don't care. But realistically, he's probably just behind Swift right now. You know, nothing special about him. He had big hopes. He played against behind a pretty good Broncos line and a pretty good offensive scheme with Sean Payton and Bo Nix coming in, and really didn't produce the way you'd probably want him to, which is why they went out and got a running back this year in RJ Harvey. So there's that. Then Jaylen Warren, I think I'll put him at the top of C, which could be criminal. I could definitely see the argument that he's a B guy right now. But again, with being the backup, going into this year, probably being the starter, we could see him climb up the ranks pretty quickly. But right now, I think he's a top of C guy. Again, some of you guys might think it's criminal that I have him above A-Chain. And again, I understand that, where that comes from. But I think Jaylen Warren at the top of C is a good spot for him. Joe Mixon. This year, after this year, he's probably right above Pacheco and B. He's probably right above Pacheco and B. And I could see a lot of you guys arguing for all 4 of these guys to be over James Conner. You know, I'm not blind to this thought, but I think that just shows my respect for James Conner and how highly I think of him as a running back. JT, I want to put him in S, dude. I really want to put him in S. He's bare minimum top of A. Bare minimum top of A, I think, pretty easily. But I do want to put him in S. But how many guys do I really want to put in S? Wow, man. You know what? Looking at the rest of this list, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to put him in S. I think I'm going to do it. At the end of S right now, I think JT can go in there. Because looking at this list, I only see one more guy I want to put in S, and I want to put 5 there. So, JT and S, I think he's probably the 5th best running back out of everybody on this list and everybody in the NFL right now. That's who dude, JT, dude, he is that guy, man. I mean, even with AR being hurt and not being that much of a rushing threat as really he could be, he still produced behind a Colts offense that isn't as great as they used to be. You know, Colts offense used to be the best offensive line in the NFL, which they aren't anymore, I would say, pretty obviously. But that's where I'd put JT right now. At the back of S. Now Jonathan Brooks, again, didn't play at all, so you're going to have to put him in E. That's where I'm going to put him. Low, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, I think, is the top of A right now. When I was looking through this list and saw who I had left, I want to put Josh there. Josh at the top of A is where I think he belongs. Probably a top 6, top 7 guy pretty easily. Josh Jacobs is really good. Top of A guy. Kenneth Walker, man. I am a Kenneth Walker homer. He's a guy I've had on my dynasty team since the beginning. We're going into year 3 of that. Kenneth Walker's really good, but the injuries hurt him, dude. The injuries really, really hurt him. I want to put him in the back of A. But because of the injuries, like, if he was fully healthy, I think he's easily in A, probably in the middle somewhere. But because of injuries, I'm going to put him at the top of B. Kenneth Walker has, like, the ability to be an S-level guy. Like, that's how talented he is. But I think based now, right now, off of injuries and the offensive line play not being where you want to see it, probably causing a little bit of a drop there, I'm going to have Kenneth Walker at the top of B. Kyren Williams, I think, is an end of A level guy, probably above Breece and James. Kyren is that dude, man. He's been producing. He wasn't a high draft pick. He doesn't have really the top end tools, athleticism or anything like that. But man, is he good, dude. He produces. He's crafty. He's shifty. He doesn't have great speed, but he gets through holes. He knows where to go. He can make people miss. He can get those extra yards. And he's just grinds, dude. He just grinds. And I think he's a middle of A guy for sure. Maybe end of A, maybe beginning of B. I could see all those arguments there, but that's where I'm going to have him for now, is in that A category. Najee, I think, is an end of C guy. I think at his best, he can be up here in B somewhere. And he probably did produce at a B level, right? But I'm not going to take this year, at face value by itself, right? I'm going to take everything into account here. He's going to the Chargers, where I think he'll make himself comfortably be, like pretty easily be behind that Chargers team and that Chargers line. But right now, I'm going to have him in C. Steelers fans, I'm sorry. Let me hear it in the comments. I understand. But I'm going to have Najee at C. Nick Chubb is probably a top of D level guy right now from the injuries and where he'll probably be going into next year. He's still a free agent. We don't even know if the team's going to sign him. So because of all these factors, I have him at D. At the peak of his career, he was an S-level guy, 100%, no doubt about it. Probably the best pure runner in the NFL, no doubt, S guy. But because of everything recently and the factors of going into next year, he's probably a top of D-level guy. Rachaad White is another guy who I think isn't like the greatest true runner ever. Not a great true running back, but has some good receiving ability. It plays in a great offense, which I think boosts how good he really looks. But because of those things, I'm going to have him in C. Raheem Mostert is another guy who's fallen off a cliff from where he used to be with the Niners and how he was even at the beginning of last year for the Dolphins, or the beginning of 2 years ago for the Dolphins. So I'm going to have him in D. I don't think there should be any arguments there. I'm gonna have Ramondre at the top of C. I think Ramondre is the top of C. You know, maybe going to this next year with Drake May going into year 2, Vrabel coming in, a couple additions to the offensive line. That offense can look a lot better. I think at his peak, he was probably a middle of the top level B guy, pretty easily there. But I think he's a top of the level C guy right now. Saquon Barkley is, in my opinion, the best running back in the NFL right now, hands down. Had arguably the best running back season of all time, won a Super Bowl, had the most yards ever, including postseason, by any running back ever, and is doing things we've probably never seen before by running back. You could argue Barry Sanders. I'm not saying that to say that he's the best running back of all time, but I'm saying he's doing some things we've really never seen from guys, and he just continues to get better, and he played behind a great Eagles offensive line, which really let him do whatever he wanted and roam free and be his full self, which was an amazing thing to watch. So Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the league. Tony Pollard, I'm going to put him at the back of B. I think Pollard had a pretty decent year behind the Titans with how dysfunctional that offense was, with Will Levis being in and out and their backups not being anything serious. Still produced really well. I think he had a pretty decent year considering his situation, like I just said. So that's where I'd have Tony Pollard. I think ETN's probably a C-level guy right now. I think going to this next year, Liam Cohen talks very highly of him. Liam Cohen's a good offensive mind. I think we could see ETN get up into this B range pretty easily. A lot of these guys, like I'd say from Ramondre to Devon A-Chain, we could see all these guys get into B, even Najee as well, pretty easily with how their circumstances are going into the next year, and that's where I'd have them. These last two guys I don't think really deserve much talk at all. They go into E. But overall, this is my running back rankings. This is where I have everybody in this order from left to right, going down each category. So let me know what you guys think of this rankings and where I have everybody and my thoughts on each one, who you disagree with. What if you agree with the whole thing, that's great. Let me know. So like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
S1, I was the best one. You thinking way back, you should have kept them. You always question all of my methods. I try to hold you down. I just want you. Got a hit. I swear that you don't check your phone. I be pulling in the coupe on my own.